just see what it. Yeah, cause I'm gonna just record it, cause all the shit I'm doing is just wasting my time. Don't waste my motherfucking time. And I'm like, but anyway, the saga of this game in particular won't go away. And I really feel like people are just not being honest. People just trying to make excuses. I'm like, look here, man. Cause I was just briefly watching this video. I was just briefly watching this shit. I skipped a long intro as usual. And I'm like, they asking these dudes' opinion. It's like, how many dudes, how many nutsacks on the screen? Like 5 nutsacks on the screen. And they said like, what are your thoughts about this particular game? And he was timing them. And they going to, trying to do the elevator pitch. And so, like I said, I couldn't have been on that panel. Because they would have been like, what are your thoughts about this game? I would have been like, trash. You wouldn't even need to give me 60 seconds. Oh, I would have been like, this shit is trash. I would have just said trash. And would have just basically kept it pushing after that. And there's nothing to say. They would have been like, you didn't like the combat, you didn't like the world, and I'm like, trash. That's all I want to say it. I would have just been like, trash. Because it's just like, my man. Look, I was playing before I even got on this game, man. I mean, before I got on this, I'm sitting up there like, I was like, let me do like the heist. GTA just released the heist. Let me just do that by myself. And I beat it. I beat it by myself. Not gonna lie, I did. But at the same time, dude, at the same time, I'm just like, GTA need to stop spawning people over and over again. Like, stop with that spawning shit. Make your set of enemies that pop up. Say if you got like 30 enemies, that should be just there in that particular area. And then once you kill the 30 enemies, that should be it. It's over. Nobody else comes after you unless it's like afterwards you got the object or whatever. But if there's people in a facility, stop spawning them. That shit is not only lame, but it's like whoever is in this facility don't own as many dudes. I mean, you just keep showing up like constantly. That shit is annoying. And it's like they haven't figured the shit out yet or something. Like, that shit is annoying. When you got all like the dudes just constantly keep popping up. Cause it's just like you kill them and they just keep showing up and you kill them. Like, when does the shit end? I really don't like that, and they really need to do something about that shit. I'm never playing that shit unless I got a crew and I don't have to do all the work, cause I did everything. But I'm not playing that shit like the heist. It's like once I beat the shit, I beat it. I don't care about the story. I don't give a fuck about all that shit. Like, solo wise, like I said, I got my crew of dudes on my other account. I'll play it with them, but I'm not starting the shit like my heist. I'm using theirs. Cause it's just, it's just like games just got, to be honest, especially now, especially in this current time right now, it feels like games just got way too annoying for me. And it's like they don't respect players' time, or they don't respect my time. I mean, some people like certain shit, but for me, it just feels like, again, I'll spend like 2 hours on that mission, on the whole heist, and I'm like, I could have spent that time prepping for, like, doing this shit, my own thing, instead of playing somebody else's shit. I mean, it just feels like a way. It just feels like, you know what it feels like. It feels like a chore. That's what the shit feels like. It just feels like chores. Like, I'd rather wash the dishes than play this shit now at this point, because it's just too much shit they do that's just too annoying. Like like with the game that came out last week. It just feels like Homegirl, um that you talk to. I'm not gonna say the thing. I'm not gonna say the name of the game, but people gonna know. It's like you have to follow. Like, you have to go up to this chick. You have to climb up this ladder to find her. Then you find her. She goes in this office building with this other chick, and you basically talking with dialogue options. And then after that, how I played it, nothing happened. And then you just slowly walking behind the chick, and she's talking how she used to love this chick, or she had a crush on her, and just all this whole thing. And it's just like, okay, I played this for what? What? I mean, even though that people say, oh, it's building up to something, but again, it just feels like, so. It just feels like, and even with GTA, like, how one part of the mission I was playing, trying to get these. See, and this is another thing. It's too much shit about that one particular thing. First of all, you walking slow with that. I was talking to about this chick. You walking slow. It just feels like, what was the point of that? Two, with GTA, how I'm trying to get these weapons, I had to follow the Mary. I had to follow Merryweather in the Valkyrie helicopter, but it's traveling slow all the way across the fucking map. All from the Merryweather place to Grapeseed. The helicopter flies faster than that, but when the computer has it's like deliberately doing this shit slow. And it's like, it's not. It's like, come on, like that ULP mission where you gotta protect them in that helicopter. He could have literally, from where he was, he could have just went straight across and got to where he had to go. He basically literally flew around half of the whole motherfucking map and stopping. How come these games do that shit? How come they just don't get to their destination? Why does it have to drag on for so long? Like, my man, stop. That's on some real shit. If I already have that shit in my plans, like part of my configurations. I got like a whole bunch of like hardcore plans in the shit. One of them bitches is, if you're gonna follow somebody, they move with a fucking purpose. And they get straight to the destination. Don't have the players be following this dude and they stopping here and there. Like, I remember in, I think Saints Row the Third, or one of them, and Pierce, he was like, you have to protect him, and he was driving to like the grocery, like, not the grocery store. He went to the gas station, and the character was like, what are you trying to fill up? He like, no, I need to get some chips. I'm like, come on, dude. You should have blown up just for saying some shit like that. Like, stop wasting my motherfucking time. Al Pacino was right. I mean, the shit is annoying. I'm like, damn, dude, just get to the point. And then it's just like in GTA, like I'm going to go to Merryweather to get weapons that I already own. Or then it's like, how come you just can't go to Ammunition and get the shit? Then somebody will say, well, it's like a paper trail and all this shit. It's like, my man, are you really trying to do this shit? This is a fucking video game, dude. This ain't real life. You'd rather speed up this helicopter to get to where we gotta go, or I already own the weapon, so why am I going back to the shit? Or I buy it. It's just like I just use somebody else's money. Why does it have to be like this? It's just trash, dude. I mean, GTA is a cool game. I like the series, but I will say a lot of the shit they do, and it's just not them though. It's all these games. They do the most ridiculous shit. It's like, can we move on already? I mean, just straight trash. They just, I don't know, it's just they need to design this shit better. Cause these dudes, they be acting like, since they in the industry and shit, that's like, oh, like, well, of course we know what we're doing. No, you have to, more than half of the time, no, you don't. And since video games are all about having choices and agency now, I should have had the choice in GTA. They should have already built the shit in there. Like, if you own these weapons, you don't have to even do that mission. I'm like, I just don't know. Cause like I said, it starts to get annoying at this point. It's just too much. And then it's like one of these things I was seeing, like, um, what was dude doing? What was dude doing? He was talking about how to get the like one of the weapons or something, like the new weapons and the shotgun. It's like you're doing a lot of shit. You're doing way too much for a weapon that doesn't mean anything. It's like the explosive shotgun was more. It's better than this new shotgun they put in. Like, I mean, the explosive shotgun blows up people. I mean, you got fewer bullets, but like, what's so special about this new one though? And then if you got me going through all these hoops and shit, it's not even worth the trouble. I mean, this is how I feel about my shit. This is honestly how I feel about my shit. If I'm gonna make the players go through some shit, like for real, like they're going through something with this game, I'm gonna make it worthwhile. I'm not gonna make it so that you do something, whatever the case is, whatever that something is, and wait, what? Oh, like whatever I'm like whatever that something is, I'm not gonna have players like do some crazy shit and it doesn't amount to anything. It's like, why did I do all this for? Or like, I got this special weapon, but it basically only lasts you through like half the game. Not no, not even like when you like get a weapon or something, or whatever the case is, like the DLC shit, most cases it's not going to be as effective later on in the game. So it's like, you did all this shit, why? You did all this shit for what? What was the reason? I'm not going to have players go through that shit. It's like, if you get something, that's going to be something. It's going to mean something. It's going to sustain you for a long time, or whatever the case is. It's just not going to be like, you get this item and it was like, okay, what was the point of it? And I feel like that's what a lot of these games are like nowadays. It's just a whole bunch of shit that's wasting people's time. And it's just like, I don't know who these dudes are. Like, I don't know about these dudes, but it just seemed like it just feels like nobody truly wants to be honest about the industry, because I guess maybe they have friends that's in the industry, or I know a guy that made this game or something. But like I said, it's not the devs' fault really. Like, I don't know about like the bugs, like that's programming though. But I mean, the devs like that, like 3D artists or some shit. I mean, that is nothing against them because they didn't do anything. Or like, certain artists. But it's like, who's ever like designing or planning this shit is kind of off, bro. Like, I'm like, some of this shit that you're doing just seems just ridiculous. It just seems like, what the fuck is this? And it's like, nobody complains about like just the way certain things are in their games. Like, I don't know, maybe they'll get fired if they like say shit too much. Like I said about the whole like hiding in the tall grass and throwing rocks. Like, it just feels like nobody ever says like, yo, my man, the last 500 games that came out this year did the same thing. Like, let's try to come up with something different. It just seems like they'll get fired if they go along with like the main dude who, or whoever's producing or making this shit is like, that's supposed to be in the game, so don't say nothing about that. And if they do, they'll get played. Because even like, I didn't even hardly write the DLC to the game I'm working on now. And then I'm already planning part 2 and the DLC for that. And I was like, I'm not going to say too much, but I was like, 25% of a particular part was going to have stealth in it. But then I was like, nah, I'm changing that. I'm not doing that. But how I planned it was kind of like on the terms of, for their particular section, if you don't stealth right, that's the wrong way to go. It will still play out, but it will, if you don't stealth, it will make their particular part and the whole thing a lot harder. So I was like, yeah, I might do that, but after a while, I'm like, nah. I was like, nah, I'm not doing that shit, cause it's just, the whole stealth genre is lame. I mean, it was cool with like the first few people that did the shit, But again, though, like after a while, the stuff starts to get lame. I mean, just everybody is doing this shit. I mean, just everybody's just doing it. I mean, it almost wouldn't be so bad if everybody wasn't doing the shit, and then and then everybody's doing the exact same thing in the game. I mean, the exact same thing. So I'm like, it's just like the game industry, dude. I'm like, it's honestly tiring, dude. It's honestly tiring, and it's like I know this is kind of like weird or something like that, but it was like the last game that I recently bought. Well, not recently, but no, I wouldn't say recently, but it was like the last game I truly enjoyed was what was it called? Second Son, First Light, and I played that last year, but the game came out in 2014. And it's like an old game is more enjoyable than a lot of this new shit. So it's like if you asking my opinion about something like with these games, it's just like they lost me, bro. They lost me a long time ago. They truly did. They lost me a long time ago. Now ever since 2014. I mean 2016 with Final Fantasy 15. That was like I said, I keep saying that shit. But that was like that was the thing that hit the hardest. I was like, "Ooh, damn." Like I just felt lied to, and then it spiraled out of control after that shit. It really did. And then my man was like, he was telling me about that dude. Like I said, I'm like, what is this? What is this thing? Why is this dude going through the tunnel and shit? What is this? Because you know what? Because a lot of games, like I'm gonna seriously get real right now. I'm gonna get real. A lot of these games, they have too much of an ego. And one of the newest games that came out like 2 years ago that didn't have an ego and was really a decent. I mean, this game was actually cool. It wasn't like it was like everything you did was wrong, and you had to play it a certain way and all this shit. The one game I truly enjoyed that wasn't overbearing was Detroit Become Human. Cause that was my first narrative game. And I'm playing this shit and I was like, yo, this game is the shit. That was like out of all the games that I got burned by since I had the PlayStation 4 years ago, that and Second Son First Light was the two games I could really say I enjoyed out of most of them. I already played GTA prior to that over my friend's house, and then getting it was cool. But then They should have really stopped after the import export DLC. That was the last good one. Gun running after that was cool because of the explosive shotguns and shit, but it started to get too much like Saints Row. So they should have just stopped with import export, because that was like the truly GTA type DLC, because it was about stealing cars. Everything else is like some spy shit. It's almost turning into Hitman or something. I haven't played Hitman since, I think, the first one. I think my friend had it. I mean, I didn't own it, and I didn't play it long and beat it. But it's turning into some spy shit. It's not even turning into what the title of the game is called. And then, truth be told, stealing other people's cars in the world put bounties on you and shit. And then you could have your own car and hook up your own shit. So it's not even you're not even doing what the title of the game is called. You can't, like I said, if you don't want bounties, because that's annoying. Other players will be after you unless you want to invite only. So it just almost seems like stealing cars at this point is an afterthought when you could just call your own car in. So I'm like, a lot of these games have too much of an ego. Look at Cyberpunk. I mean, like how they had the trailer, dun, 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 dun. He was like, yeah, this is the worst city in America. Like he lived in Chicago or something. And he was like, the crime rate is high and all this shit. But then you actually get the game and it's buggy, laggy. First and foremost, Cyberpunk was like the Titanic. It was this marvel of a vessel. It was this unsinkable ship. And when they put that bitch out in the water, look what happened to it. Same thing like Cyberpunk. It's like, as hard as they hyped it up, the harder that game crashed. Because it just had too much shit. And then, story wise, really, like looking at that game, I don't see too much of a dark future in this shit. I mean, I don't really see the darkness of the future. I mean, of course, people live in foul and shit, but I mean, this like, you could have made this in any time period and it would have fit the bill. Like, I don't see. I mean, I guess people don't care too much about their bodies, and you got all these cords and shit hanging out your body and shit. I mean, I guess that's making it. I don't know, but it just don't. I don't feel the darkness of it. I mean, it's like a cool city to live in, and truth be told, it's like they took everything from Akira and Ghost in the Shell. They could literally make a game, and nobody would be like, oh, they copied off of Cyberpunk, because they did this before Cyberpunk existed. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But it's just like I said, it's just too much, dude. Like I said, the one, like I said, I feel about the industry as a whole. It's just, I don't know, dude. It just ain't the same no more. For real, for real. It's just, I said this many times. I said this many times. I don't know if it was ever recorded, but I was like, for me, the industry, like, games are just going to keep getting worse and worse. Because it's like the more you can do, the worse off it's going to get. And it's almost like you can kind of see the shit now. Like that's how that shit feels. It just feels like the longer this is gonna, I mean, cause it just feels like you're not bringing anything. You're not bringing nothing new to the table, and you basically keep doing the same things over and over again. There's no spice to the shit. You ain't bringing no other writers in this shit. It's just basic. It's basically like how they said about well, not necessarily, not really, but I remember a long time ago they was talking about like the music industry, and they was like, you ever notice why all like the best pop songs all sound the same? Because it was made by like four or six different, like four or six of the same dudes. It was something like the same dudes was like making the same music for all these different artists, and that's basically like how the industry is with this shit. It's just like you like they're all friends, they all steal from each other, they all taking cues from the same people. And then it was like this one chick was talking about this game that was straight trash. It clearly ripped off um Walking Dead. I didn't watch The Walking Dead, but it brought nothing new to the table. It was the same shit. It was the same exact thing. And I never played The Last of Us either, but it's like you could have put this dude in the same universe with The Last of Us and you wouldn't tell them apart. Like, I mean, gameplay wise, yes, but it was like the same thing though. Like the same story, the same shit. And it's like, and Homegirl was acting like, oh, this game should have went somewhere. But it's like, why? It's it's not iconic. It was not legendary. It just it followed the same thing like all the rest of them. So there was nothing new that was brought up. And it was like, what is this? So nah, man. It's like I said, it's just way too much. Oh boy. I was gonna do this off camera for real, for real. Oh, I was gonna do this off camera, but damn. Because this is gonna be tedious. This is gonna be super tedious. I just basically wanted to do some shit and go. Yeah, this is gonna be way too much. This is gonna be too severe to do all this. But like I said, these games nowadays, dude. Because then it's like you're trying to do too much, and you're taking the like. First of all, I'm all about like realism. Like my characters don't look like what's it called? It's not stylized. You know what I mean? Like I gotta put all the skin grafts and so have because it's just flat. But it's like when you try to add too much realism in the game, the more fun you take out of the shit, or what you take. the fun out of what it should have been or something. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's like you playing Monopoly. You're playing Monopoly, the board game, and you land on some place but can't afford it. Like the IRS is literally coming to your house and telling you to call for money. It's like this is just a board game, dude. Why are you taking this shit so serious? And it's like games. Like say if like besides Abe and Abe Odyssey, but say if you had like I would not be surprised if somebody made a game and they had an eating mechanic. Like you have to eat so you can but basically so you can live. Like you actually have to feed your character. Like with Red Dead Redemption, you gotta feed the horse. Again, I think you really don't have to, but the fact that this shit is so realistic now, it just makes you feel like you have to, so you won't get bucked off mid mission. But it's like you have to feed your character, so now it's a glorified Gigapet now. Like some of these young people don't know what the Gigapet was, but now it's just like a hardcore version of a Gigapet. Then, if you don't take your character to the bathroom so they can shit, like they'll start having health problems, and then your health goes down faster. And it's like, why? Why? Whoever takes that idea and implements that in their game, they need to get beat down. I mean, they need to get beat down like to death if they pull that shit off. Cause this is not so. That's not supposed to be serious. But it's like they be like, yeah, let's do that. And it's like you're taking the fun. Like I shouldn't have to worry about that shit, figuratively and literally. I really shouldn't have to worry about that. Can we just have fun and do the shit? It's just like Death Stranded. It's like you gotta worry about the characters' walking patterns, dude. Like it's just too much. It's like the weight limit and then his boost degrade. It just feels like it's way too much micromanaging and not enough fun in the shit. Like the more these games start getting advanced, the more micromanaging they're putting in and taking out the fun. Like I would never have weapon degradation in the game, or worry about my character eating and shitting and doing all this little micromanage shit. Like just play the game and have fun with it. Like I shouldn't have to worry about extra shit I could do or doing in real life. It just gets too much. It just gets way too severe. Oh, for real, for real. It just gets way too severe, and it starts to get unlikable. Like I said, the shit is not even fun at this point. It's just like I said, it just feels like chores. It's like I said, you just doing chores at this point. You're literally doing chores. You ain't doing nothing fun. It's just like in GTA, like you be in the middle of some shit, like doing your thing. Like this happens conveniently before and conveniently after you do something. It's like, say if you get to a location, soon as you about to go into that shit, like I got the call from like that Tom Connors dude or whatever his name is from the Diamond Casino, telling me to pick up Moody Man, and I'm like, I'm about to do something. But then it's like at the same time, it's like, what do you want? Because you're gonna keep bugging me about the shit, or after you do your mission that you was gonna do, then immediately like with the biker businesses, I haven't done a biker business since 2017. But dude, LJT is like soon I'm done with the heist, like prep missions. I get a call from the dude to try to get my business, like save my business. Like I haven't cared about that since then. And you know, I'm like, come on, man, stop. Like I said, it's just too much. It's just too much. It's just too much. And I'm like, damn. I mean, and then it's like I said, it's not enough people really saying this shit. Because everybody wants to, like I said, they probably know somebody in the industry. Or, like I said, it's not like really about the game devs. I'm not talking about them. Like I said, this is just whoever's coming up with these decisions. Be like, it's just weird. It's just a bunch of weirdos, bro. See, and like I said, I mean, for me, like I said, it's like you live long enough to see yourself become the bad guy or some shit or whatever the phrase is. I mean, it just feels like it's just gotten to that point because I've been playing games for so long, and it just you know what I mean. It's like taking its toll and shit. And then even like I said, even like doing this, because like in GTA, I wanted to get the other jacket for my second character. But I was like, after playing that and doing that whole the fingerprint shit, which that shit was annoying. It's like it's already hard. It's stressful because you got people that might come into the building, and then it's like you don't figure out the fingerprint shit fast enough. Then it scrambles the shit like it's Lenny from like Watch Dogs 2. It's like, damn, dude. Like it's already difficult on this bitch, and then you made it even more harder. Like, come on, man. See, that's exactly my point. It's just it just like makes me wonder like I gotta it just making me feel like, you know what, dude, because I got this in my life, I should just on some real shit just stop even playing it, like games in general. It's just like that dude with the glasses and shit. We talking about we seen everything. Yeah, because the same people you allowing to make these games keep doing the same shit and copying off of each other. That's why it's the same motherfucking thing you seeing. Now, if somebody did have a new idea, you would turn it down because it's not familiar with you. It's like you're like basically the dude is saying this. He wants some new ideas. Like and what he was basically saying, he was like, in order to break into the game industry, you got to come up with some fresh ideas. But then it's like, okay, I got some fresh ideas, blah blah blah, so and so. He wouldn't accept it because it's not familiar to him. It's not like what everybody else is doing. But you're the same dude that wanted some new ideas. You see what I'm saying? And then it's not like and it's not on the level of some stupid shit like Death Stranding, but it's on some like real narrative shit, like some like a real good story. You know what I mean? But nah, cause it's not familiar. Even though I asked for new ideas, so it's like, what the fuck, dude? I don't know this dude's name. I don't know where he came from. I just know he had a suit. An older gentleman, had to be in his like 50s and 60s, and he wore glasses. And I'm just like, And then that's another thing. You talking about new ideas, like you want new ideas, but then somebody brings them to you, but you don't want to hear them, but you let Death Stranding exist. Not saying he had anything to do with it, but it's almost like if you let Death Stranding exist, then anything anybody wanted to do should exist. Because that game really should not have existed. I mean, it's just like a certain person. I'm not going to say his name. But it was like, if he can get this high in life, not smoking high, but if you allowed him to be like at the top of the world, then anybody can do anything at this point. No questions asked. I could go to a hospital. I should go to a hospital and be like, I want to be a surgeon. And they'd be like, are you a doctor? No. And they're like, what are your experience? I watched enough Grey's Anatomy and I know how to carve up a turkey. That's enough. I know what a heart is. I don't buzz the red buzz on operation, like on maybe a few times I did, but not enough why I would have killed like 5 patients or nothing. You know what I'm saying? Or like if I could go to the Air Force and be like, I got my suit, I just got a jumpsuit somewhere, and I was like, I want to fly planes. They'd be like, you got any experience? Like, what's your military background? I played Ace Combat since the first one, which was called Air Combat at the time, and then part 2 was Ace Combat. Been Ace Combat ever since. So that's my military experience. My fighter pilot experience is playing Ace Combat, and been doing that shit since '96 and whenever the shit came out. I mean, cause it's just like anybody can get by with anything now, cause the bar has been set so low. You know what I mean? Like, why not? Because when you allow anything and everybody to get in, you can't complain about shit. Like, if it's not a standard of something. Like, standards are almost not non-existent at this point. Because you could just constantly keep pointing to examples like, you let this exist. I mean, anybody could come up with Turd Man. And that would be the thing. That would be the game. Turd Man is the game. And he just stands there. He just, I don't know what he does, but you can't complain because you let worse shit get out there though. Or like you have highly anticipated games come out that just completely bombed. I mean, like with Cyberpunk, it just feels like it to me, in normal situations, this game basically bombed. You got your money back, but you got it by lying to people though, because you didn't show like base G. See, here's the thing: it was supposed to come out in April, before the PlayStation 5 even came out. So technically, it would have been base console PlayStation Pro type, but it was like, let's wait till the PlayStation 5. And like I was saying before, it's like, why would people still play the PlayStation 4 if the 5 is out? Because I heard somebody say, if you wanted a good experience, you should have played this on newer consoles. But nobody could get the new consoles. And no, and me personally, like I said, I wasn't gonna get the Pro when I just got the 5. I mean, I'm not gonna buy the Pro when I bought the original PlayStation 4 the same year the Pro was gonna come out. And then I think like months apart, I think the Pro came out in November 2016. I got my PlayStation August 2016. So why would I spend $200 here and then end up paying another grip for another system that's basically the same but maybe a little higher graphical capability when they play the same exact games? So why would I do that? Especially at the time I didn't have that much money. That would have made absolutely no sense. That would have basically been dumb. So it was like, fuck all that. So let me get the PlayStation 5. Oh, you can't get it because bots got it. So it was like, now I'm stuck. And then it was like, oh, you should play this on PC. So it was like, but he's not talking about me. But I just feel like for me, with that argument, it's like I'm doing something. I'm creating a game on my PC instead of playing other people's shit. Like I'm doing something way, in my opinion, I'm doing something way more important than getting a PC, like having a PC just to play Cyberpunk. I'm like, I'll have a good PC to make my own. I could make my own Cyberpunk. So it's like, man, fuck that, dude. I mean, it's just, and like I said, it's just so much trash. And like I said, don't act like they're not gonna make a PlayStation 5 Pro. Oh, that's going to happen. Because I'm pretty sure a lot of shit they held back on the 5, they're conveniently doing that to give the excuse to why people need to spend an extra $500 to buy the PlayStation 5 Pro. I guarantee you, this is a whole bunch of shit they held back on the 5, so they could justify making the Pro or the 5. I already see how to, because they did it with, when they did it with 4, I was like, they're gonna make they're gonna make a PlayStation 5 Slim, they're gonna make a PlayStation 5 Pro, because people are already talking about how the shit is already big as is. So there's gonna, people gonna be shelling out the money for that, even though it's not it's no updates to the shit. It's just thinner and smaller. So, but it's like, oh, I gotta pay money for that too. Like, and they're gonna, like I said, they're gonna do the Pro, and people gonna be thinking, oh, this is so much better. But then when you really look at the specs to the shit, it's really not that impressive that I gotta spend $500 extra on the shit. But they're gonna get people. They're gonna get people. I mean, if you have the, to me, it's like, if you have the money to get the shit, then it's like, fine, whatever. But it still seems like a ridiculous thing to do. Cause it's just like they just psychologically dupe these people to keep shelling out money. Like I said, it just ain't me. I mean, it's like I said, it's like now, like even with, like, if I, like, wow, okay, like I said, I could afford to buy like the disc tray version and the digital version twice with the eBay prices. But why would I do that if the PlayStation 5 got all these problems already? Technically, it's not even worth the original asking price if it got all these problems and bugs. Like, it's fucking up people's, like, what, rest mode shit. It's crashing people's games. It's like you didn't have these problems like that with 4, 3, 2, and 1. So it's not even worth the asking price of the 3. Well, how much is it? $400 and $500. So I'm damn sure I ain't gonna pay the eBay version price just to play Cyberpunk. And then, like I said, the video game industry is starting to get so much garbage. It's like the only games I would say I would have been excited for is like GTA 6 and the rest of Final Fantasy VII's remake. But it's just like Final Fantasy remake, I enjoyed that because it just felt like an updated version of the old shit. They kept it true, but added some shit, and it felt good. But GTA 6, I'm really not having that much hope for it if it's anything like Red Dead Redemption 2. Like I said, and don't get me wrong, Red Dead Redemption 2, story wise, the music, the acting, everything was top notch, but it was like the main Jenga piece that you pull apart and the whole thing collapsed is the actual gameplay. The shit was boring. The horse, there was no music except for the ambient music with the banjo and shit. The guns was trash. Not the way it was acting, but it's like 6 shooters. Like you coming from GTA where you got all this high power shit, then you want to go like what 118 years whenever they released it into the past. Everything got slowed down. That's what I'm saying. It's just like certain stuff is just too much these days. It's just, I mean, some people do like it. I'm not saying anything about the people that actually like this shit. But I'm just saying for me and for people to wise up, basically. Like I said, the PlayStation 5, whenever they make that Pro, that's probably gonna be another house one shit. Like people gonna be trying to get it, and it's just gonna be a problem. It was already a problem with this shit, where people couldn't get it. But like I said, for me, I see the game. I completely see it. I completely see the shit they're doing. You know what? I'm gonna pull all this back. But like I said, people gonna be doing this shit, and I'm gonna just be looking at them funny style, like, see, I'm trying to make her hair look like this chick in this picture. But it's just, I just hate the clipping, like the hair clipping through her arms, though. It's like an OCD thing. I don't know. But you know what? Like I said, when people, because I remember even when like when the PlayStation Pro came, 4 Pro came out, I remember my friend, he had problems with his shit. And he was like, whatever, because he told me, he said, whatever you do, don't get the PlayStation 4 Pro. And I'm like, why? Like, if I ever, like, because he knows about computers, because he knows how to build them shits. And so, whatever he got to say, I'm going to listen to it. And he was like, just don't, because it's not worth the money. Because I think he said his shit was crashing. he was having some problems with. I can't really remember off the rip, but he was saying he had problems with his shit. So I'm like, damn. So I was like, I'm cool with what I had. And so, you know what I mean? I basically was just like, fuck it. I mean, I wasn't planning on buying it anyway. And then here's the thing. Everybody keep talking about never be an early adapter, you know. And it's like that's true. It's like keep never be excited about nothing and keep your expectations low. Cause when the shit fucks up, you would just be like, I was never excited about the shit anyway. Like Cyberpunk, I wasn't really excited about the shit because it was in first person. And I already don't like first person. I even got it on my shit. You know how you could like put your categories on your games. And I got the first person. I got like Deus Ex and Cyberpunk, and it says first person. First person sucks. That's what I named my folder. And that's just how. So it was like it was already gonna be whatever. But actually playing the shit though, it's just it's a decent first person shooter. I don't like first person shooters, but it's like this was cool enough. But I would have rather had this shit in third person and everybody saying it. I even made a LeBron James meme saying that shit. And I said that shit 2 years ago. Everybody was getting on me for that. This is trash because it didn't make sense to make a character creator if you're not going to see the character you made more like most of the time. That shit did not make sense. And the justifications was dumb. Like this whole immersion shit is that immersion shit is just a buzzword that these nutsacks latched onto and just saying the shit to make people think this is going to be some immersive experience. It's like trash, dude. I mean, if you wanted me to be immersed in the shit, just make it a toggle where you could change the camera angle. GTA did the shit in 2014. You can't do the shit in 2020? And when your last game was already in third person, that shit make no sense. That shit absolutely made no sense. You could have just easily implemented that shit. It wouldn't have been nothing because you already have all the coding and programming to make the shit in third as is. You press L1 in the brain dance shit, it turns into third person. I mean, just straight up trash. And then that person that I was talking about, how we were friends, like internet friends, but then they wanted to act like a fucking bitch because I was talking about this shit. I'm like, grow the fuck up. You act like you made this game. I'm just like, dude. I hate when people get so upset about other people's shit. It's like you don't know them. I'm like, what is this? Going back to that whole debate we had about who was the greatest basketball player of all time. Dude got so mad when they was like Derrick Rose ain't shit. The man literally got mad. and went up to him and said, "What the fuck you say, dude?" And everybody was like, "Yo, bro, calm down." Like, the man did not know Derrick Rose. He never. I highly doubt he met him. And you trying to defend his honor. He don't know you defending his honor. You working at FedEx. He's a multi-million-dollar athlete. And you getting that upset about this shit? I understand people passionate about certain things, but god damn. Like, if you ain't talking about my shit, I don't care. Like I said, I could tell you the few things that I do like. I like Ghost in the Shell. I like the Ninja Turtles. Sonic is cool. And that's about it. Like, it's not, it's not my stuff. So that's all. That's it. But if anybody talks about the shit, I'm not gonna be mad. I'm not gonna be. I never met anybody that did these type of things that made the shit, and even still, like, I mean, I didn't make it. Like, dude, like the dude at the convention, I was saying like something about like Spider-Man, one of the many men. It was the Iron Man or Spider-Man. It was one of them. And I basically let dude know what the deal was. I was like, nah, I don't like it. It's trash. And he was like, he knew he couldn't fight me. But it was just like, if he could, he would. Like, he had that look like, oh, you talking like his, it was almost like his whole world came to an end. Like, he never heard anybody say that, like, these comic book shits is because, again, I don't know if I said this in the video, but these comic book superheroes everybody keep holding the nuts of, they weren't a thing with us growing up. Like, my mom and cousin knew about the shows, like the Adam West and like, I think the Hulk, he had a show with Lou Ferrigno. They knew about the shit, but when we grew up, it wasn't that. It was the only thing that existed. The two things was the X-Men animated series and Batman animated series. I wasn't a fan of Batman. The X-Men was cool up until, I would say, 96. Cause then there's like, then we played video games. Like, we had the Sonics, the Marios, and the Ninja Turtles games, like Hyperstone Heist. We had a whole bunch of other shit to look at and like besides these superheroes. Some people like the Power Rangers. I was like more the Ninja Turtles. This dude named Charles Perham, he liked Power Rangers. He used to bring them to school, put them in this lock and shit. So we had that. And then, like, when the PlayStation came out, it broadened the whole thing. I mean, we did play like the X-Men had like a arcade game. And then later on, it was like the Street Fighter versus X-Men and whatnot. But we only played it as just to be playing it. It wasn't like, ooh, look, Spider-Man. Even though my friend liked Spider-Man, but that wasn't most of the people that was playing this shit. They just played it just as a competition type thing. You know what I mean? That's all it was. It was just competition, and that was it. Cause a lot of people was like, if it was a fighting game that people gravitated to, it was Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. That was it. Like, nobody was like into the superheroes. Like, oh man, you see X-Men and Street Fighter? It was like none of that. It was just they was there fighting Street Fighter, and we all was familiar with Street Fighter. So that was as far as the shit went. And then like when Marvel vs. Capcom 2 came out, and this was like back like with the Dreamcast, PlayStation era, like 98, 99 type. And or like early 2000s or some shit like that. You know, like we only like the main ones you picked was Iron Man, Cyclops, and Cable, because they had the beams. Now, side note, I didn't watch like hardcore anime until that 99. So I remember playing like Marvel vs. Capcom or like the Street Fighter vs. X-Men prior to 99. Like that small 97, 98 window. So like seeing the whole plasma beam thing, it was like, oh shit, and like and Ryu was his Shindugan was like a beam. It was like, wow, like it wasn't just a fireball. So you know but anyway, you picked those Cable, Iron Man, Cyclops. Nobody looked at Iron Man was like, oh man, they should make a movie out of this dude. It was just like that was just the three that took off the most hits, and that's who. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody looked at the Hulk like, oh, we want movies of this dude. And Thor was like a striker character like that popped up. Like nobody was looking at him like he should get a movie. You see what I'm saying? So when I'm like years later, I'm going to the convention to sell the book, my first novel, and I'm seeing all this like superhero shit. I mean, like I said, no shade to it, but it's just like that whole superhero shit skipped me. Now these kids nowadays, they are with the shit because that's like they come out every year. That's all they basically seeing. But it's just like I said, that's how they get down. But for the dude to get like upset, like he never heard nobody ever say that these superheroes suck, it's like, I mean, the whole tights and calling yourself man all the time. It just seems too much. You got Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Aquaman, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Ant-Man. It just seems like you using the word man too much. Like you got something to prove, or you overcompensating for something. Like we get it, dude. We get that you're a man. You ain't gotta keep emphasizing this shit. But like I said, I'm like, I mean, that's how my shit goes. But it's just like, see, but even then, back in the day, like, I mean, I played a whole bunch of games. Just a whole bunch of the shit. And now it just feels like, it almost feels like like a retirement process or something. Like, maybe I should stop playing this shit. And just literally just focus on making my own game. Like, even though I am focused on making my own shit, but like I should just stop playing just games like entirely. Cause the shit just ain't fun on my like I'm like, cause I recently started playing like Mega Man 8, and it was just like, damn, like this shit was fun. Like the music was cool. It wasn't overbearing. It's just a whole thing. But that's how that's the get down. I mean, I'm getting close to this chick's hair though. Like the chick in this picture. Like I'm getting close. But it's like, yeah. It's just somewhere down the line. Like I know when it, like I said, when the PlayStation 3 came into the fold, that's when it started because you couldn't use codes just to have fun with the shit. Like I could just beat enemies and they can't kill me. It's just when they stopped doing that with the code breaking Game Shark, that's when the whole thing fell apart, in my honest opinion. Because it just got too ridiculous. Because I mean, look at GTA. It's like they cheat by like having these aim bots. Like they just know where you are at all times. They can shoot you through the smallest piece of glass. It's just like damn. But you do the same thing to them. It's like you can't because they know where to go, how to maneuver, how to do all this shit. But then it's like you want to get codes and be like, oh, you cheating. It's like, motherfucker, the computer's cheating. Like, do you really think in a stealth game they don't know where you are? Even if you're hiding, the system knows where you are because you tied to this shit. It's just like in racing games. Like in racing games, like say if it's you versus like it's you plus 11 other drivers. The drivers like so that means it's 12 racers. You plus 11 others. The computer is controlling the rest of the 11. They don't care who's in first place as long as you're not in first. So they have like 11 chances to beat you. And you only got the one person that you're controlling. But they're not in it to try to like I want like Gran Turismo or whatever. It's like I don't want like I want this Maserati to win. It's not about that. It of course it goes to who has the better performance, but it's like it doesn't matter though. They could all have the same stats. This not the computer's not picking a favorite. As long as you're not in first, the computer doesn't care. And it's like they would do anything. It's not like it's not like they're not thinking, but they know they don't want your ass to win. That's the main goal. And they would do anything to damn near cheat. Matter of fact, this is an urban legend. This is an urban legend. And even though the legend is not it's hard for me to say about the legend. But I'm going to say this. Me and my friend was playing NBA Showtime for PlayStation. Now, he pays his where at the time his stepfather and his mother, they paid the bills on time all the time. So one time, you know, we was playing the game and we was going back and forth with the computer. Every time we hit a three, the computer has to hit a three. Every time we dunk, the computer has to dunk. I mean, it was just doing the same exact thing, like mirroring our same shit. And oh, and mind you, my friend came back with an article recently saying, you know, there's an article that Street Fighter had like an invincibility code for a brief second if you do something. And I was like, I knew they cheated. I knew I punched my Sega Saturn, put my whole fist through the shit because it was cheating. I mean, I fisted my Sega Saturn. The whole fist, one punch, boom. because the shit was cheating anyway. So me and my friend was playing NBA Showtime, going back and forth with the computer. We was winning in the fourth quarter. Please explain why the PlayStation went out. It just went out. Boom. We just had a blue screen. We had them like old tube TVs. It was just a blue screen. And we was winning. Me and my friend looked like, what the fuck just happened? I mean, the lights are still on. We looked back at the shit like he didn't have no rodents or rats that like did something and tripped the cord. He had no cats, no pets. The only pet that he had was his dog Lexi that was downstairs. She never came upstairs. So we look back at the PlayStation. Everything was hooked up. Everything was hooked up. I mean, everything. Nothing was out of place. So we turned the PlayStation back on and it just came on regular. Well, we was sitting up there like, yo, the computer was that mad it shut itself off. And we've always said, like, that's like a legend, like an old wives' tale or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ask him about that, he'll be like, yeah, I remember that. And it just feels like, to me, even though logically I don't think, but it just feels like the computer was so mad that we was winning. It said, fuck it. It turned itself off. But that's just how it is. It's just like like the machines, like I said, these stealth games, they know where you are. The racing games, they just trying to make you lose. Like, it's just all the system is already against you so much. And it's just like how they design these games. They give you like a sliver margin of error before the whole thing comes crashing down on you. It's just like in GTA. Like, you could be at one end of that new island. One dude could see you and just shoot. But the whole island knows you there. Like, it's not like he went and called somebody, like what they call them, sentries. And there's like some games, like it'll be an icon over their head, and when the thing gets around, then it would alert other people. It's not even that. He's shooting, but just he got like cyberware and just alerted everybody else on the island, like, yo, this bitch here. And it's like when did you get on the phone? And you're the only one around, and now everybody else knows. It's like shit like that. It's just, it's like I said, it's like with that, it's like 99 things can go wrong, but the 1% that goes right is you not tripping the alarm and everybody knowing about your shit. It's like I said, they give you a sliver margin of error in these games, but it's like everything else can go wrong. And it's just like, again, it's just getting tiring at this point. There's no wiggle room. And then you don't get nothing out of it. Like, I mean, I'm watching people play Ghost of Tsushima, and it's like all you get is like one skill point. Like, damn. Like, that's it. And it's like this whole grinding culture in these games. It's just everything is a struggle. Everything you gotta grind for. It's like I said, it's just trash, man. It's just 100% all day, every day. Wait, I'm gonna try to show this if she pops up right. Like, I'm basically trying to get her hairstyle right. I mean, it got that wave pattern. I'm gonna have to keep working this. And I don't like how some of these are crossing over. But it's like I said, the industry as a whole, though. Yeah, the game industry is. You know, and young people that be playing these games and shit, they're not gonna see a problem with it. Cause I mean, hell, like it'll be like some 13-year-old kid saying like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about" for some odd reason, or like, "Damn, I said 13." It's like because people used to say like, "Oh, my 13-year-old cousin could draw better than you," but then it'd be like, "Okay, where he at?" They'd be like, "Oh, he in another state somewhere." Like, yeah, because there's no 13-year-old cousin anyway. But it'd be like some kid, like some teenager, and they'd be like, you know, like I said, I've been playing games before the dude was even born. He or she, or whoever it is. Usually be some dude running their fucking mouth. But anyway, and it's like 15 years old. I wouldn't have been saying this shit. Like, okay, look at the teenage kid. If I could have a time machine and brought myself from when I was 15 to now, I would look at myself crazy like, what? Like, cause I'm saying some crazy shit about like animes and video games. My teenage self would have a heart attack. Like, what the fuck is this? What, this is what I turn into? But like, yeah, little look. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. And then hit him in the no, I wouldn't hit myself, but yeah, I would have been like, this dude is crazy. And like, yeah, cause you gonna get jaded. You gonna get jaded, son. Cause you gonna see too much. You gonna be seeing some shit, and you gonna be like I seen some shit that would turn your ass white. I think that's what Winston said in Ghostbusters, but it's just like, dude, I would have looked at myself crazy as hell. Like, man, I mean, some of these games you talking about, I like them shits. Like, yeah, you gonna used to like them. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't gonna be all that when you get older. You're gonna recognize the shit, and then you're gonna be like seeing some shit like, damn, the PlayStation is like that. Like, why? Oh, I would have had a lot of questions. I would have been like, that doesn't even sound right. I'd be like, no, it doesn't. Like, you paying for like a $500 system, and they got bugs and glitches and shit. You know, that would have been some wild shit hearing that. Like, whoa. Like, oh yes, things are not going to be the same. Things are not going to be the same when you get older, son. You're going to be looking crazy as hell. You're going to be like, wow. But anyway, like I said, this shit is trash. I'm about to watch this video and do them braids. Because like I said, them braids, I gotta focus real hard. Oh, I gotta focus real hard for that. That is something else. Cause I was like flowing with the braids. Oh wow. You know, it doesn't even matter. Yeah, I was focused. I gotta focus with this. I really gotta focus with that, but I'm out of here. See y'all later.